world. Hello, everybody. I would like to talk to you about something that's near and dear to my heart when it comes to business. When I'm asked the question, what is the greatest piece of advice that you've been given in your business life? I always answer that by saying, talking about someone who once told me that you shouldn't let solutions define your requirements. So this was something that I was told several years ago when I worked at Cable and Wireless, and I think this came up because I come from a technical background, and I think this is something that you see very prevalent in technical people. They love rushing towards the answer without truly interpreting what the question is. Undoubtedly, it was something that I had already solutioneered or done something with and completely missed the point. And so it was one of the commercial guys said to me, always look at what is actually being asked for rather than giving an answer to a question you think has been asked. So talking about solutions defining requirements. Now, I say technical people are the worst for this. I think they are. I think that's the way technical people's minds are geared, is to look for a solution. It's exciting. That's what being technical, being an engineer is all about, but it's not always the right thing. For example, thinking back to the days in which I was more of an engineer rather than doing what I do now, someone would come to me and say, Justin, we need a firewall. We need a firewall. Okay, so why do we need a firewall? When you start to break that down, your first thought might be that there's a security requirement. It could be regulation, it could be legislation, it could be all of these good things. There may have been an attack. It might be foreseeing an attack, whatever it may be. And of course, you especially if it's coming from a customer, you would think, okay, right, no, they know what they need. So let's go and get them a firewall and let's go and do this. The reality behind, and I'm thinking of a specific example here, was actually some architectural cleanliness. It was about taking two areas of the business that ultimately they didn't want to be able to communicate with each other. Nothing particularly bad, nothing particularly egregious. It's just A and B, and they didn't want them talking to each other. Well, that can be solved in many different ways. And in networking terms, we could have just used a VLAN. We could have just used root suppression. We didn't actually need a security boundary. And we didn't necessarily need to introduce an unnecessary expense cost into this environment and build in complexity. So coming back to this again, don't let solutions define your requirements. Why are we talking about that today? Why are we talking about that now? Because the exponential growth of technology, and specifically cloud, has really taken this time-honored problem and absolutely exploded it. It's become a bigger problem than it ever has been, where we see these solutions defining these requirements. So where could I give some examples of that today? Well, let's just go back over the last few years. Let's look about this decision to move into cloud. What is cloud? People still cannot uniformly define what cloud is. People will have a different definition every time you ask someone different. People will also have an answer as to the right cloud to use without even asking you what you're trying to achieve. Again, solutions requirements. So what we have seen, particularly in the last 5-6 years with the dominant players in the cloud space, is that there's been a lot of what have been purported as digital transformations, but they're not really digital transformations. They've been movement of stuff from on-premise into cloud. And why has a certain cloud or a certain ecosystem or a certain architecture been selected? To be honest, most of the time it's been good sales, it's been good marketing, unpopular opinion, I'm sure, but it is true. There is a lot of fanboyism. And I think if we look at the big two, it's always odd when we talk about the big two because we're talking not about Google in this instance, massive global player though they are. Microsoft carries a lot of fans and has done for a long time. Those people who are more fanatical about Office 365 and the use of that as a workplace technology. But Amazon Web Services, been around longer. People are more attached to the non-web services side of Amazon, the use of the retail side. And it's become en vogue. It's become fashionable to use certain cloud spaces. And what's happened is these solutions have been selected and continue to have been selected, and you build on and on and on without really understanding the requirement of what you were looking to try and achieve. So we draw that all the way back. Sometimes there are technical requirements, of course. Sometimes there are cost-based requirements. Sometimes there are availability requirements. There's lots and lots of different things that make up these components. And I know that you know this. That bit isn't going to come as a surprise to anyone. But it's almost embarrassing for people to be able to just take stock and look at, why did we do that thing? Let's look at those things that we have done and go backwards. Did we actually adhere to any requirements? Did we have any requirements at all? And a lot of the time, the answer is probably no. Another problem with cloud, and I say problem at the end of the day, cloud is a wonderful technology, and I wouldn't ever try and downplay cloud or its use. And I'm talking more about public cloud space here, is that because we can do things so quickly, we can test things, we can push buttons, we can slide sliders, things are bigger, things are smaller, things are used, things are not. We're not even stopping to think why we're doing these things at all. And these can have significant repercussions. They can have technical repercussions. They can have business repercussions. And that is the important point here, is that really technology is an enabler. Yes, we all love technology, particularly if we come from an engineering background, but technology is an enabler for the business. It's the business that should be driving the requirements, because it's the business that needs to function. Technology is the enabler to get those requirements functioning. So have we truly stopped to look? Have we looked at what we've done, why we're doing it? Why are we just in one cloud? Why are we in lots of clouds? Why are we not in cloud at all? And this problem, I don't think, is being taken stock of yet. I feel like I'm very much in my own echo chamber on this. It's one of those things that I say a lot. My solutions requirements line comes out a lot. I'm sure people roll their eyes, very much like a father talking to his children about some anecdote that they don't want to hear for the 500th time. But we are not stopping to look at these decisions that we're making. And then what we're starting to do is find reasons to fulfill why we think we're doing the right thing. So let's look at COVID. We're having to react quickly. The whole world has changed. There's loads more people working from home. Remote is obviously the new norm. So we're putting things in. We're having to accelerate to cloud. We're having to accelerate to remote-based solutions. We're having to do all of these things very quickly. What we're doing is we're kidding ourselves that we're actually fulfilling the requirement that we have with the right solution. But the truth is we're using a solution that bridges a gap. So what I think we need to do, and this would be my takeaway from moaning, maybe talking about solutions defining requirements, is I think we have to collectively across businesses, but within tech teams as well. Don't just let the business mandate that. Step up. If you're in technology, step up and be that person in tech who does this as well. I'm sure you will lose friends doing this, but trust me, do this. Just stop and take a look. Why are we doing the things that we're doing? Okay. Are they fulfilling those requirements? Have we even asked for a set of requirements? Can we, under scrutiny, say that is the right thing for these reasons to deliver these requirements? And what's the fear? What's the fear of doing this? Why do people tend to put up the hand, the blocker? Oh, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Well, of course, our favorite buzzword of 2020 in the last couple of years would be agile. Well, that's not agile. That's not agile. We can't do that, because then we'll be absolutely sheep-dipped in bureaucracy and red tape, and things will take time, and time is an enemy. No. Time doesn't need to be an enemy. Neither does process. Because what we're looking at is the old adage, measure twice, cut once. Often we're causing ourselves bigger problems, and we're building problems on problems. And it sounds like a cliche, but it's entirely true. Stop, have a look. What are we doing? Is it the right thing? Are we driving forward in the right way? Is that solution meeting that requirement? And then we can build multiple solutions that actually will become pervasive and perpetuate the right course of action for the business. And technology really will become that enabler as it promises to be and can be. Where if we don't take stock, and we don't take stock soon, especially because of, say, this exponential growth in IT, use of cloud technologies, then we could be heading towards a path of critical mass where some businesses, maybe some government organizations, some big businesses are going to be in a lot of trouble because this stuff will need unpicking. And sometimes unpicking is going to be unpleasant, and sometimes it's going to be bordering on impossible. So, so I implore you, I pass on my message to you: don't let solutions define your requirements, and hopefully we'll live in a much better functioning world. I'd be really interested in hearing if you agree with that. I'd also be interested in hearing if that's something that you've heard before, or a play on those words, and what your take on that is. Just because I say that, bureaucracy and red tape won't get in the way, you may feel that the organisations that you work within, or the working world that you're a part of, just doesn't allow for that. So yeah, please do get in touch. We're really interested. We're really interested for us as a company, me as an individual, see what's going on, what people think. Important feedback, listen, learn, and go from there. Thanks very much.